Welcome to World Prism. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. American democracy is facing a critical test. A direct clash between the executive branch, under the second Trump administration, and the federal judiciary. This isn't a routine policy dispute, it's a battle over the rule of law itself, questioning whether government power can override the checks and balances designed to prevent tyranny. The crisis began when the Department of Justice and Homeland Security took unprecedented actions, defying a federal judge's order and escalating the conflict to the Supreme Court. At stake is the principle of due process, the constitutional guarantee that no one is deprived of liberty without fair legal procedure. The administration's attempt to sidestep this right for a group it deemed undesirable triggered explosive legal challenges and whistleblower revelations. Now, contempt proceedings loom, with top officials facing the prospect of testifying under oath, and the long-term implications for the separation of powers are profound. This is more than a legal case. It's a defining test of whether the law truly applies to everyone, including those who enforce it. To understand this crisis, we must look at the law the administration invoked, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Passed during John Adams's presidency, it grants the president sweeping authority during war to detain and deport non-citizens from hostile nations. Almost no due process required. The administration targeted hundreds of Venezuelan men, alleged gang members, but instead of deporting them to Venezuela, arranged a secret deal to send them to El Salvador's notorious Secot megaprison. This move bypassed the U.S. immigration system entirely. No hearings, no evidence, no defense. Lawyers for the men argued this was a gross misuse of the law and a violation of constitutional rights. The government paid El Salvador millions, effectively creating an offshore detention system shielded from American courts. The strategy: use an archaic law to sidestep due process and remove people labeled as threats. This bold maneuver set the stage for a dramatic legal showdown. The administration's actions would soon face fierce judicial scrutiny. The legal challenge landed before Judge James Boasberg in Washington, D.C. on March 15, 2025. As government planes prepared to fly the detainees out, Judge Boasberg ordered the flights halted, both orally and in writing, but the Department of Justice and Homeland Security ignored him. 3 planes, carrying 261 men, took off for El Salvador anyway. This was a stunning act of defiance, a direct rejection of federal judicial authority. The administration later claimed the order didn't apply to flights already in progress, a justification met with skepticism by legal experts and Judge Boasberg himself. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, briefed on the order, allowed the flights to proceed. She later toured the Secot prison, publicly praising it as a model for crime control. The message was clear. The administration was not only defying a U.S. court, but was proud of it. This brazen move transformed a legal dispute into a full-blown constitutional crisis. The stage was set for a historic confrontation between the branches of government. Judge Boasberg responded forcefully, launching contempt of court proceedings against top Trump officials for willfully ignoring his order. The administration tried to delay, appealing to shield officials from testifying, but after months of stalling, the D.C. Circuit Court allowed the inquiry to resume. Plaintiffs now seek to put at least 9 senior officials on the stand to explain their actions under oath. The consequences of contempt are severe, ranging from financial penalties to, in extreme cases, imprisonment. The proceedings aim to uncover who knew about the order, when, and who authorized its defiance. This is about more than punishment. It's about reasserting the judiciary's authority and the balance of power. If the executive can ignore court orders, the system of checks and balances collapses. Judge Boasberg's pursuit of contempt is a stand for the rule of law itself. The crisis deepened when DOJ attorney Erez Ruvini blew the whistle, alleging that superiors, including Emil Bove, instructed staff to ignore court orders they disagreed with. Bove, now a federal judge, denied the claims during his Senate confirmation, setting up a direct conflict of testimony. Judge Boasberg now seeks Ruvini's testimony to determine if the defiance was a one-off or part of a broader pattern. Another key figure, Deputy Assistant Attorney General Drew Ensign, who told the court he was unaware of imminent flights, yet the planes departed hours later. Was Ensign kept in the dark, or did he mislead the court? This question is central to the contempt case. Whistleblowers like Ruvini take immense personal risk to expose wrongdoing, prioritizing the rule of law over institutional loyalty. His testimony could reveal whether March 15th was an isolated incident or evidence of deeper rot within the DOJ. The search for truth now hinges on these testimonies. The outcome could reshape public trust in the justice system. The stakes for accountability have never been higher. While contempt proceedings unfolded, the legality of the removals reached the Supreme Court. The court overturned Judge Boasberg's order on technical grounds, but sent a clear message: all individuals detained by the U.S. government are entitled to due process. The justices affirmed the judiciary's right to scrutinize executive actions, especially when they involve indefinite detention and removal without hearings. The ruling dismantled the administration's hope of creating a legal dead zone free from oversight. Even the Alien Enemies Act cannot erase the right to have your case heard. This was a victory for judicial review and constitutional rights, not unchecked executive power. The case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran man illegally sent to CICOT, illustrates the real-world stakes. Even after courts ordered his return, the administration delayed, only complying after indicting him on new charges, seen by his lawyers as retaliation. His story is a microcosm of the larger fight for individual rights against government overreach. The fallout from this legal war extends far beyond one courtroom. The U.S. paid El Salvador to imprison people without trial, only for El Salvador to later claim it had no legal authority over them, a troubling disregard for international norms. This episode has damaged America's reputation as a defender of the rule of law and human rights. Inside the DOJ, the controversy triggered an exodus of experienced attorneys, raising alarms about politicization and the erosion of institutional independence. The case underscores the vital role of an independent judiciary as the last line of defense for constitutional rights. Judge Boasberg, the appellate courts, and the Supreme Court all demonstrated that checks and balances require active defense. When the executive overreaches, the courts must stand firm. As contempt proceedings continue, public trust in government hangs in the balance. Rebuilding that trust demands transparency and accountability. This saga is a stark reminder: democracy requires vigilance, and the fight for justice is never over.